and starts sprinting the opposite way, about to run down the street. And I like tackle him, literally. There's two police, and they're just standing there watching. And I'm like, help me!
The following video does not glorify drug use, but instead, it intends to educate people and create awareness leading to harm reduction by discouraging the abuse of drugs, and maybe even harm elimination by discouraging drug use altogether. This video shows some of the effects psychedelic substances can have on the mind while also highlighting what causes those specific effects or outcomes. However, with that being said, these are random people. Please don't make decisions based on what they say without your own due diligence, and also take note that these substances affect everyone differently, especially those with pre-existing mental conditions.
My friend was trying to get acid for us. He was at a club, and the guy was like, yeah, I've got some acid, whatever. He bought some. We took it. We had like a pretty interesting trip. It'd been like 3 years since I took LSD, so I thought, oh, I guess it just wasn't a lot. We tried it again, and we took 2 hits instead of 1, and it was like pretty intense. It felt intense. It felt stimulating, but just intense. I didn't get much visuals, but it was like a lot of color brightening, magnification. I just didn't feel this like spiritualness to it, but I was like seeing like music in a weird cartoony way where I'd see like a flute in a song, and it would like be these musical notes that would like blow this dog into this Eskimo, and it would like run towards it again. The Eskimo would blow the flute, and the dog would fly away. Just weird visual. Like we enjoyed it, you know. We didn't know what we were taking. We did it the 3rd time, and I told my friends, I'm like, remember how it was like my ex-girlfriend with me and my my friend I've been doing everything with, going to the club with every weekend, taking ecstasy, and I told them, I'm like, don't smoke any weed. You know how intense it felt last time. And they're like, you'll be fine, man. I'm just going to smoke a little bit. I told my girlfriend at the time, I said, just please don't smoke. She's like, I'm just going to take a hit. It's going to be fine. So she ends up smoking too. We take it. It gets really intense. I'm like, let's go for a walk. We were actually at my parents' house. I was visiting their house while they were out of town. And my sister was upstairs, but we were tripping downstairs. We took a walk outside. My friends, I start saying like, I feel like it's like this, and like ground looks like this. And my friend's like, exactly. And then I kept talking more and more and more. And then I like make a joke. He's like, dude, shut the fuck up. And he's like, exactly. So he keeps going, and then a car drives by, and I see him just like make a right turn and just walk straight into a ditch. When I was like, hey, get out of the road, because we just felt like paranoid that we were out tripping at night. And he just like walked straight into a ditch. I was like, that was weird. He was like, exactly. And I was like, all right, let's go back. And my girlfriend wasn't saying much at all. Right? So he's walking home. We get back to the entrance, and my parents had this big house, looked like a castle almost. My friend, he walks into the driveway. He jumps up and down 3 times, spins around the circle, and says, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And then he sprints full speed, and there's this column, the stone column holding this planter. He sprints full speed into it. He crashes into it, does like a flip. He makes this horrible sound. Like I've never heard a human hit like a stone block before like that before. He does like a flip. He lands on the ground. He immediately stands up and he goes, what is going on? And he keeps walking. I'm like, what the fuck do I do? What do I do? And I called his friend, our friend, and I said, I don't know what to do. She's like, just take him inside and like put him in a room. And like, I'm like trying to talk to him. He's like, exactly. And then he jumps up and down 3 times, spins around a circle, and says, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And then he sprints straight into my car. He hits the side of the car, puts this huge dent in the side of my car, flips onto the roof, rolls off the front of the car. And again, what is going on? And then he like walks, and then he just walks inside the house and like just wanders inside. I'm like, fuck. And then I follow him inside, and he's running around like the kitchen, and like he's hitting the walls of the house. Like he looked like if you put a fly inside of a glass bottle, how it just like hit all the fucking sides of the glass. So he's just running around. Exactly. Dude, shut the fuck up. Exactly. And then he gets this tiny room, and he's just bouncing back and forth like a pinball. And I tell my girlfriend, I said, go upstairs and get my sister, tell her to call 911, because he was like running, he was bleeding, he was bruised. It was like only a matter of time before he like knocked knives over and hit knives, or like ran outside into the pool, or ran outside into traffic. or ran headfirst into something, you know. So I was terrified. And I ended up wrestling him to the ground, and he's doing the same shit. He's wearing like 4 shirts. Like he's wearing like a sweatshirt, then like a sweater, then a shirt, and then like an undershirt. So I'm wrestling him out of these shirts, and he's just like arguing. He's so strong, and I'm tripping too, right? And I'm wrestling him. And he's like, exactly. And then I get him like out of like 2 shirts, and we're like on the ground. He keeps trying to get up, and he's like, now he's down to like 2 shirts because like he's like just getting out of all of them when I'm trying to hold him. And then I like finally wrap my arms around him, right? I'm like holding him tight while the police are on their way. And he just like turns around and he like gives me a hug and he goes, "I'm sorry, man." Exactly, and starts freaking out again. He escapes from my grip. Last shirt comes off. Now he's just in his undershirt. He runs straight to the door, runs straight out, and he's running like full sprint into like this retaining wall. He's gonna like run face first. Like this is gonna fucking give him brain damage if he hits this wall. My dog runs after him and chases him, and right before he's about to hit the wall, the dog like gets to his leg and he stops, like, and then he pets the dog and he's like, "Hey, buddy," and he goes exactly and starts sprinting the opposite way, about to run down the street. And I like tackle him. Literally, there's 2 police standing in the driveway. I tackle him, and they're just standing there watching. And I'm like, "Help me!" And they start running up to me. They finally get him. They put him in handcuffs, and he's laying there. And the cops start talking to me, and he's in handcuffs. There's like an ambulance there. There's like 4 cop cars in this, and he's still just saying the same shit. And then he like turns his head to the right. He goes, "I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. I love you, everything." He like screams it, and I see the cops looking at me like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "He took like LSD. I don't know. Like I really don't know what else. He just showed up here. So they're like, 'Have you been smoking any weed tonight?' I'm like, No. And they go inside, they ask for stuff, they find his backpack, and they find weed, and weed was illegal, but they saw how much this guy was fucked up. He was bruised and bleeding. They're like, "We're not going to charge him with anything. He's had a rough night." And then the cop was like, "Are you sure there's no more surprises? No one's going to jump out of the closet or anything?" I'm like, "Nope." And then the second I say that, my girlfriend at the time starts screaming from the other room. I'm like, "Well." So then he goes in there, the paramedics come for her, and she's screaming, just freaking out on the couch. And the cop's like, "I want to talk to you for a second." So he takes me outside, and he was like, "So you sure you haven't been smoking any weed tonight?" I was like, "I promise you, sir, I've not smoked any weed tonight." And then he was like, "So you took what they took, huh? You've taken a little bit of that?" And I like look inside through the window, and I see like my girlfriend screaming on the couch. You can still hear echoes of my friend from the other side of the house, like, "Exactly, huh? Dude, shut the fuck up." And then like I look at the cop, I was like, "Does it look like I took what they took?" And he just kind of stares at me. He's like, "Oh, I guess not." And then he was like, "All right, I just need you to write a police report, and then I'll go." So I had to talk to the cops for like 2 hours. They let me go. They took me to the hospital. I went for breakfast. I came back, and then by the time I woke up, they had just showed up in the house. They walked all the way back from the hospital. They just like got up and left when they sobered up. And he was like, "I'm sorry, man. Like, I have no idea what happened." I was like, "What were you seeing? What was happening?" He was like, "It just felt like stuff was zooming up on me, but like I can't remember anything that happened." And now he's afraid to do like LSD. But I talked to the person who gave it to us, and he was like, "Oh, this is 25C-NBOMe." He's like, "I never said it was LSD. I said it was acid." Fuck, man. And I told him what happened. He's like, "Dude, you didn't mention me." I'm like, dude, I'm like, it's fine. Like, he's fine. Everyone's fine. But, like, fucking stop selling shit as something else, you know? Like, tell people what it is.
Yeah,
And
that's
Jesus
fucked
Christ, man.
up. Fucked up.
So, so after that experience, I've tested my LSD every time. And ever since then, like, it's turned bright purple when I've used Ehrlich reagent. Anything else I've tested with fentanyl kits. I've tested stuff for other people, their ecstasy, Marquis, and Simons, and all that other stuff. But I've also tested other people's LSD where it takes like 10 minutes to turn purple. So it's like you probably have like an analog or something, you know. It's it's like a lisergamide, but it's probably something else, not straight LSD. So you can still like tell, and like that person was like, yeah, I was just really weak, and I was like, yeah, it's probably just weak, like 1P or something else similar. But it's nice to get a tab of LSD, and then the tiny little bit you cut off the test, it just turns bright purple, and you're like, all right, this is gonna be some good shit, and you know it's safe, and you never have to worry about whatever happened to them. Because I get like I've been in thought loops before on like high doses of LSD and like 300 and dabs and dabs and dabs, but I've never been like that. Even like the mushroom trip where I was like running in circles in my room, like I wasn't sprinting into stuff, like I was still like in a space. I've never seen that happen before. I'm telling you, there's something different about like NBOMe loops and LSD loops, because I've been in an LSD loop where I was trying to call an Uber on 300 micrograms, but I was drunk beforehand. So I would plug in my phone. My phone was dead. I would plug it in. I would hold it for like 10 seconds. And then I would unplug it and try and turn it on. It would turn on. Then I would plug it in and I would try and turn it on. And then it wouldn't turn on. So I'd plug it, unplug it, plug it, unplug it. And I sat there for like an hour doing this to try and call an Uber. And like I didn't understand what was happening. And then like I finally got it open and I turned it on, and then I unplugged it, and then when I was using it, it turned off. It was like the most frustrating experience of my life. Like I was like stuck in this loop of like not knowing how to use my phone. I've also been stuck in loops where it's like I see like the same thought and it occurs again and again. But like on LSD, I'm like so motionless in my loops. But the same guy who gave us the 25C-NBOMe, he said his friend took like 3 of them, and he was like walking like back and forth like into the wall, saying like the alphabet. Like he kept saying like ABC, ABC, ABCD, ABCD, ABC, and he kept like walking back and forth until he like curled up in the corner, and he just kept saying like the same thing over and over and over again. But it's like on NBOMe, like seems to more like erase any semblance. It's almost like how salvia ego death is different than like DMT ego death. You know, there's
Yeah,
something else there.
I see
Like
what you mean.
salvia DMT, like salvia ego death. There's nothing to gain from it. Like it's it's like, yeah, you lost all memory of yourself, but like you felt stupid and you didn't like see anything. It wasn't mystical. It was like weird. Whereas DMT, you can lose yourself and like learn so much and come back. Or LSD, you could lose yourself and then, so there's like different types of ego death, and like some substances bring out a better type. Where like the LSD, for example, where it felt like I was seeing everything for the first time, but like completely lucid, almost like I had no memory of what happened a second ago. So like if I were to see like an apple or an orange or something, it was like the first time I was ever seeing it. Every second was like the first time I was seeing it, So even if I saw it 2 seconds before, it's like the present is the only time that mattered. And I was able to like walk around and I was like all there, but like time felt like it was going backwards and forwards. And I just feel like LSD, don't I've not noticed my friends who've taken high doses do these weird things, but like the effects it had on my friends when they smoked weed on 25C-NBOMe, it was like noticeably different than I'd ever seen on LSD. So it scared research chemicals scare me. Like I know people can do stuff like that on LSD, but I feel like there's some sort of control that comes with it. Like you almost like are comfortable in the loop instead of trying to escape the loop. I don't know. It's just my theory, but it's just what I've seen too. And people have seizures on NBOMe too, so also why you should test your substances.